What's up, everybody? Today we're reviewing IDW's new Star Trek series, which is not any Next Generation or Deep Space Nine. It actually combines all of them. And it mostly has a character team of a few people. It's interesting. Benjamin Sisko is the main character, and it really just follows him. And the others are tertiary characters. But it's got Beverly Crusher and Data on it, and it's got Scotty on it, which kind of makes sense if you know the references, because Scotty was held in a transporter accident until the Next Generation time, so he is still alive in the later time period. And it's also got Tom Paris in it, but it's got two new characters, an Andorian and a Vulcan, who are brought into it as well, and so it's just labeled Star Trek. Now, it's written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, who are also writing Guardians of the Galaxy right now, and it has a wide variety of artists. Now, the art does go up and down just depending on who's doing it in the volume. It starts out pretty decent, and it starts out with a callback to the motion picture before it wakes up, and Benjamin Sisko's getting some sort of like prophet's vision going on with him right here. And you see right here that the pages actually fell out of the book. Not very happy about that on first read here. And this is where he gets assigned his crew. So this entire first issue, he gets assigned his crew. Now, they do a thing here where there's actually a bunch of Lacar's access systems, and they give you some data on stuff, or they actually cleverly write some Jake Sisko articles in here at points. This is something I've seen with the X-Men Krakoa stuff, where it's giving some background information without being really a part of the story, and it just kind of breaks things up a little bit. I actually like this a lot with comics that do this, so that's pretty cool. Now, there is a lot of just kind of talking heads standing around, I would say, is kind of a bummer on the pacing of this issue. But there's somebody out there, they're basically go out there and they're killing gods. So that the reason the motion picture was referenced is because that character became a god. And of course, here it's the crystalline entities, they get destroyed. And Sisko, over the course of this, has no idea what the prophets want of him. He's just kind of being told where to go. And he is taken to a Klingon homeworld, where, of course, they pick up Worf, because what Star Trek series doesn't pick up Worf? And it's a little coincidental, like, having all these characters in here. So you have Data, Crusher, like I said, Tom Paris, and Scotty. Scotty does make sense, because in the original series, or in the Next Generation, I should say, it was revealed he was in a transporter accident, kind of suspended in stasis, and jumped ahead a bunch of years. But it's odd that he ended up with this crew. Now, there's a Vulcan and Andorian in here. The Vulcan is a very annoying character, and he acts like a teenage girl, and really is just snarky and annoying. And it's that modern Vulcanism where the Vulcans are really just repressing their emotions, and they're angry all the time, rather than actual logical beings. It's a failure of modern Star Trek. I don't like the way Vulcans have been portrayed for a while now. But this is consistent with the current way that Vulcans are portrayed. And so each issue, they kind of find new aliens that they deal with on the god level. And like I said, the art really changes, and pretty drastically, depending on who's drawing it. And sometimes it looks pretty good. Sometimes it looks pretty bad. It's really a mixed bag on this sort of deal. But here's the Vulcan, like, standing in the shower and, like, giving himself affirmations. It's pretty eye-rolly on that. Like I said, pacing wise, there's a lot of talking heads, and especially when the art quality decreases from a different artist, that starts to take its toll on the book here. Now, there is a mystery that it gets invoked, and this is 6 issues long. Like I said, Q shows up even, and then they get Q off the ship on an. It's like they are trying to reference as many Star Trek references that are like casual fans would notice as possible. And that's good and bad on the level. But eventually it's revealed that the Klingons are the ones hunting down all the gods, and the Klingons are the ones who are just out to kill them, because the Klingons killed their own gods. It's actually a deeper reference, which is kind of neat. Kahless is out there to try to sort of prove his worth, like, because he's a clone now in this series, and there's too much to explain. Like, unfortunately, with the casual Star Trek viewer, I mean, people who've really watched Star Trek, Kahless is, like, in charge of the Empire now, and Worf is now, of course, ostracized again, which has happened way too many times at this point. It's kind of borderline of, like, okay, are they going to finally accept him, or are they just going to kick him out finally? But it's playing that trope again. And there's this, like, whole god city sort of thing that they find that the Klingons want to destroy, and then it decides to come try to destroy Earth, and then they find a way to communicate with it to stop it from happening. And then they go back to Deep Space Nine. But the Klingons are enraged, and I know that that this sets up an event later where there's a Klingon civil war, and that's happening in the comic book right now. But for this, pretty neat. I like the hardcover. I had pages fall out of the binding, which sucked. But overall, I prefer a hardcover presentation. It does have a volume 1 on it, which implies there's going to be a hardcover volume 2. And I'd say that, like, pacing-wise, there were slow parts. There were parts that made you roll your eyes because there's a little too much, like, of reference-y stuff going on. But it's clear these guys actually, like, worked on this and, like, tried for it. And the overall storyline was mostly pretty fun. So it's a mixed bag. Some of the art's good. Some of the art's not so good. Some of the writing's good. Some of the writing's not so good. There is a scene in this where the Vulcan actually does do a thing where he's like, gender binaries are illogical, and it's actually illogical for him to be saying that at the time, and so that kind of made me roll my eyes. It's like, why did you have to put that in here? It just is modern 2023 politics that you're trying to put in here, and it doesn't make any sense. So that should have been edited out, but is what it is. But overall, Sisko felt like Sisko. Jake Sisko's development is actually probably the most interesting character development out of all of this. I like what they did with Jake Sisko. Scotty is just there to be Scotty. I think it was unnecessary to put him in this. I would have actually probably put like O'Brien from Deep Space Nine in rather than just trying to force an original series character in there. And otherwise, somewhat fun. So I'll call it a 7 out of 10 and mixed bag overall. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.